Greetings and welcome to the Mount Rushmore podcast. Whoa, guys, everybody stand still. Don't move, Richard.
What?
Don't move. This
All
place
right.
is rigged. This is rigged. Oh my God, I'm not even gonna breathe in. I have a bag of sand here that I'm going to swap out in place of the microphone. I'm gonna hold the microphone. This is the Mount Rushmore of booby traps. Michael,
By the way, Jeff, if you spoke into a bag of sand, wouldn't really make too much difference to the quality of the episode.
Totally equivalent. The same big bag of nothing that we're going to offer up. Whose idea was this? Who do we have to blame for this booby trap episode?
This is totally my fault, and okay. I believe that it came about because Emily and I have been, in this quarantine, just going through lists of movies and series of movies, and we came upon the Mission Impossible series of movies.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. And we watched the first one, which is incredible, just great. Mission Impossible 1 is incredible. Then we watched Mission Impossible 2, which is one of the worst films we've ever seen. It's just so awful. It's like a John Woo film, and it's just I got angry because the name of like the pathogen that they were trying to release at the end of the movie or whatever it was called was just like it was named after the wrong like Olympic or the wrong Greek like terror. It was just like it was so everything was like it was just bad. Everything was bad.
Yeah.
I got my hackles up. And then we watched number 3 and recently number 4 and like all of these movies. Number 3 was great with Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I think that was the one that let me to be like, oh, that's a good trap. And I was like, ooh, booby traps. And it's like, okay, this is now we're talking. Now we're talking. So thank you. Rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh yeah. Was the word booby has not it's not fared very well. It was bird, right? And it's like a booby prize was like the joke prize.
Yeah,
the booby trap
is the fool, basically.
Is the fool. Okay. You're a boob.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, Michael, you chose it. Richard, why don't you just step into this step forward into this nice Mount Rushmore opportunity.
Yeah, sure. What could be
Whoa.
All right, so my first choice is I think maybe an obvious one, but it's every once in a while you got to do the obvious ones. And it is the McAllister house from Home Alone.
Also on my list. Also on my list is my first choice too.
Yeah, I kind of figured we sort of had to. This was the elephant in the room. If we didn't pick it, people would have been screaming at us about why didn't we do it.
Yeah.
So here it is. And there's like there are about 10,000 booby traps set by Kevin McAllister in the course of the finale of the film. Each one of them more potentially deadly than the next. And where he gets some of the products to do some of this stuff is just beyond me. Like the flamethrower,
yeah,
that lights its head on fire. I mean, did he remember how tall he was exactly so he could get it right at the top of his head? If he'd screwed up by a couple inches, suddenly he's got just flame burning right into his face, and his face is literally melting like wax.
That's fine too.
Which would have been, we're taking it from PG to PG-13, but other than that, I think it's just fine.
I do like all except that flamethrower. I do appreciate that everything seemed feasible within the spirit of this house. I do like the micro machines as as something to slip on, or the broken Christmas ornaments, or the cans of paint. But once you get to like the two burning implements, I don't know what that thing is that he puts around the doorknob.
I don't either. I was just going to bring that up. Is that some sort of metalwork thing? Does his dad do horseshoeing on the side? That's sort of what it looks like.
Those two implements seem like the most dangerous. Okay, a 9-year-old kid could have a BB gun, or maybe his older brother has a BB gun. All totally feasible. Maybe they even set that up like in the first 10 minutes of the movie, something like that. But what I appreciated was these booby traps in this like kid friendly. It's like this, very Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, kid-friendly violence sort of thing.
Right.
That they're able to disguise it as that, and then the guy's head gets burned and his hand gets fried. And
I do wonder, how did Kevin clean up the mess before his parents and the rest of the family got home? Because it seems like getting tar off of a wooden floor, for example, would be more than a couple of hour project for a 9-year-old.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Jeff, you're the homeowner of the group.
Yeah,
You're the one who probably has the most experience with home projects. Doesn't that seem off?
Well, the 9-year-old kids that I hire are usually pretty good. The logic that you're applying and questioning to this, it makes me excited, because it does imply that the complexity of a booby trap and the ability of a little kid to come up with it is what you're taking issue right here with. But the fact is, if it's simple, it isn't fun, right? But if it's kind of complicated, or it hides its complication very nicely, that makes it something worth discussing, and that's the reason why both of you guys chose it, because
I think
it was really entertaining.
I think there is some sort of like in between where it can't be such a basic thing that it's just super obvious. But at the same time, if it's too Rube Goldberg in its construction, then it just feels unrealistic. So, as Michael said, I think with a couple of exceptions, everything that happens to the wet bandits is something that, you can see you can create a trap that if they did this, then this would happen.
Yeah. I think what gets to me is the assumptions that he makes, especially with somehow he has to get them to the point where they are removing their shoes so they can come through the side window and land double feet first on the broken Christmas ornaments. That's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Like you have to have like really, scripted it out. Like this is, it's almost something out of Saw. This is the pain that you're going to receive in the exact order. And, you have to have had your shoes off at some point. So you have to have gone through this point. So he's really leading them down a real dire path.
Yeah, that would have been a hell of a reveal in Saw if it turned out it was a grown-up Macaulay Culkin was the one who was behind it all.
As brutal as the pain inflicted could be, it seems like the booby trap, at least in entertainment, is kind of the domain of the person who's not necessarily strong but clever, and that's what's kind of exciting about them as devices, is that the ingenuity that goes into them. And I don't know if we're going to discuss Wile E. Coyote in this episode. It seems like it's requisite, but it seems like his failure to accomplish anything with any of his traps is his downfall in every episode. All right, well, Michael, what's your first or your second choice?
Well, I'm going to stay within the realm of kids,
John Hughes.
But I'm gonna kind of skew a little bit more into fantasy, and it's the myriad of booby traps that are set through the pirate caves leading up to the giant pirate ship in the Goonies.
Oh wow, cool!
Which gave us the phrase of booby traps, as well as Data saying booty traps. That's what I said, booty traps, which is just a delightful malapropism of that word. But it's almost the opposite of the Home Alone traps. I think you just referenced it, Jeff, in that these are fantasy traps. These are like these, giant boulders that are held up and have been held up for 100 years, 85 years, however long this pirate, however long One-Eyed Willie has set these traps for. They've lasted for X amount of time. One of them sprung and killed Chester Copperpot, and the rest of them, some of them are booby traps in the sense of like a tripwire tripping and, things falling away and a big a channel of water rushing down. But, and then there's like the do you know how to play a keyboard trap, which doesn't feel quite like a booby trap, just more like a test.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that booby traps often fall into like the test trap. Either you trip something in your getting squished, or if you're not clever enough to solve the riddle, then it turns into a booby trap. It's like a video game riddle thingamajig. We let off the show talking about Indiana Jones and the Golden Idol, and that doesn't seem like a booby trap. That just seems like he put a bag of sand where a 15-pound idol should have been. Like, that's just stupid.
His inability to guess what the mineral content of that and volume of the idol.
Did you assume it was just like plated, that it was hollow in there, like an Easter egg? I don't know, or like an Easter bunny,
Easter
chocolate Easter bunny.
I'm gonna jump in here because that is my second choice.
Oh, super.
I'm gonna defend this one because
I need to say I have never seen. I started watching the Goonies as a 50-year-old. Could not finish it. Could not finish the movie, and have never seen Home Alone. So I may be.
Can we get a substitute judge on this one?
Yeah.
No, Richard. Jeff is in the dark. We can invite him over and just go to town on everything that we've ever known from our childhood movies.
Awesome. No,
go ahead with Indiana.
I think this is a booby trap. I mean, it's almost the pure definition of something. It's going to give you something that you want, and you're going to recklessly go for it without thinking about the consequences, and then a giant boulder is going to come and crush you. That's pretty much the definition. And there's several other booby traps. There's like aren't there the blow darts that are going off right before there? Mm-hmm. So the whole cave is a series of booby traps that he has to get through. And
the shaft of light that's triggered.
I think that grabbing the idol and understanding that I need to replace this with something of equal weight. Obviously, he's done his homework on this, which is not something you generally get to do with a booby trap. So it was in that context is interesting to me that he knew sort of everything as it was happening, like what was going to happen.
Here's a question for you. Now that we talk through this, and I will defend this as well. I was never not defending it as a booby trap, by the way. It was more along the lines of, I'm not quite sure what, but my thought now is it doesn't matter what weight was replaced. It was always going to trigger. It could have been the exact same weight, and the person that designed this thing was always just going to kill whoever tried to steal it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, so it's possible. So maybe it's a death trap set up as a booby trap.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Because this person was whoever created the trap in the first place was obviously willing to sacrifice this golden idol as well. Like they were willing to this thing's just going to get crushed by whoever. Who cares? Yeah, let's kill them all. It doesn't matter. Let's roll the ball down and trigger all the. Well, no one's going to get out of it. So if we're going to lose this idol, we're going to lose this person. Good, whatever. This thing sucked.
It's a little bit of mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Do you think the booby trap reveals something about the person who either evades it or falls victim? In this case, it's our introduction to Indiana Jones.
I don't know. Have you seen this movie, Jeff? Just checking. No, I think that it's. In this case, I mean, it is our introduction, and it shows that he's, throughout the whole process of the scene and kind of getting through the various booby traps that are out there, I think it shows that he is, yes, he's a person of action, but he's also a thinker. So he's not necessarily somebody who is just going to rely on his strength or size or physical prowess to be able to accomplish what he needs to accomplish.
Yeah. And the skeletons that litter the entombment are evidence that he's a little bit better than those guys.
Yeah, he's above the median, so to speak.
Yeah, and Belloc could go in there, but he just waits for Indiana Jones to get it. So he could. He's chosen to not.
Literally the smartest man in the room, actually, if we think about it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of bringing it back to the Goonies, I think that they ultimately almost fall for every trap, or they get through every trap not necessarily by any sense of intelligence, but I think it's, at the very end, Mikey, the Sean Astin, the Sean Astin character gets through it via like a sense of empathy. That like they go there and they try to steal as many jewels and everything as they want, but they don't take the gold that's right in front of One-Eyed Willie's, corpse, not out of a sense of, oh, this is going to be trapped, but out of a sense of that's his. Let's respect what got us to this point. And of course, the Fratellis come in and spring the trap themselves, and yada yada yada. It's, I think that does reveal, when you talk about revealing something about the individual, it does reveal who this person, this Mikey kid is that he's ultimately there for, quote, the right reasons to save his thing, not to take what's not more than what he needs,
Yeah. That seems to, as an artifact hunter for prosperity and for museums and for the sake of learning and knowledge and history, Jones is better than those people who he is being chased by or fighting. And in the end, in The Last Crusade, he goes through a series of traps, as he does in the first film, but it's very spiritual, and it tests his spiritual knowledge and his not just his wisdom, but I think his character, and it shows how much character he has that those around him don't. So that's what I think is so cool about the booby trap has used in fiction, is how much it reveals about the protagonist or whoever gets caught up in it. Way to bring it down, Hopkins. Thanks. Thanks. So we are at our halftime. And I'm going to implore you, the audience, to go back and find the secret tricks that we put back in our past episodes. Depending on which ones you download, it might reinstall your operating system. Mm-hmm. It might reconfigure your autoexec.bat file on the shell of your MS-DOS, and it might, if you go way back to earlier episodes, it's gonna sound at least like the speakers blew out in your iPod or iPhone or whatever, because we recorded those on a speak and spell back in the early days. So you could also trap us into a booby exchange with you if you're a very knowledgeable person about a certain topic. Let us know on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram pages that we have what topic you are smart about, and we'd love to talk to you about those topics. Past suggesters have trapped us into conversations in which we looked like complete boobs. You could be that next person to do that. All right. Is it Winfield? Is it your third? Okay.
It's Michael's third.
My third. There's I had a lot of thought about this one, because I don't know if it worked, but at least he set a trap. It is when the character of Dutch in the movie Predator sets up this elaborate booby trap to catch the predator.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite work out as planned, but ultimately he gets him in the end.
This is also on my list, by the way.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
We're doing good. Cutting it close, cutting it short tonight. Good.
Yeah.
At some point, Dutch realizes that he physically can't go up against the predator. He's getting his ass kicked, and he's trying to crawl away, and he's covered in mud. Then he realizes that he becomes camouflaged by the mud,
his heat signature.
The heat signature. And so he starts to develop his plan, and how is he going to catch this unstoppable killing machine? And a very just classic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie scene where he's just like going about building something and using his muscles to haul huge logs up into the air with the vines as ropes and things that just, can never exist. And he sets up knives, and he sets up, these like explosive leaves, I guess. I don't know. Explosive leaves. I can't believe that's a thing. And he builds a bow to the point where he tries to trap the predator
Right.
and lead him through this thing. And I don't think the original thing was to have that big log fall on him. I think it was to have these knives fall on him via this counterweight. And then, of course, he ends up getting him with the counterweight in the end.
Thing I appreciate about this
Yeah, go for it.
is the fact that the Predator decides, because Dutch is a worthy foe, to take off his mask and his weapons and fight him one-on-one, man to beast, I guess, whatever Predator is. And Dutch's response to this is to flatten him like the Monty Python 20-ton weight coming down on him, like a coward. Right?
Well,
Like, there's only one creature of honor here, and it's not Dutch.
I don't know, because right at the end, the Predator 2 has his own booby trap because he's just about killed, and he starts pressing the buttons on his little wrist communicator, and it starts counting down, and he just sets off like a thermonuclear device, and that doesn't seem too honorable.
Well, that's after he got screwed over. It's like in wrestling. This is like in wrestling.
Anything after the bell is count towards whether it happened in the ring or not.
Well, no, it's like if the bad guy brings a title belt in to use it because the referee's been knocked unconscious, and the good guy ducks, he's well within his rights to pick up the title belt and wallop the guy with it.
Mm.
He's only cheating because the other guy cheated first. Turnabout fair play here.
Has Jeff seen Predator?
Saw it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, it's,
I entered a film I'm from Kansas City, but for 1 year, Kansas had a film festival called the K-A-N Film Festival. And it was either Jim Thomas or John Thomas, one of the Thomas brothers who are the co-writers on this, spoke. He was the keynote speaker at the Cannes Film Festival. And it was just about the time that the hero's journey was kind of getting popular, like Hollywood screenwriter kind of knowledge, like obviously like George Lucas used it and stuff like that. But I have never been more wowed by a keynote speaker at anything than this guy, who seemed like, in my mind, he's got a British accent, but he didn't have a British accent. He was just like so articulate, and he was like a professor of literature. And neither one of these guys has written jack shit, really. I mean, like, John Thomas also wrote Wild Wild West, Mission to Mars, Behind Enemy Lines, a Tales from the Crypt episode. But Jim Thomas is Predator, The Dance of the Predator Holiday Special, Predator Goes on a Date.
Predator Goes Hawaiian.
Predator Goes Hawaiian.
I'd see that. I'd see that one. Wait a second.
These guys.
Predator versus Beetlejuice. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Jason versus Freddy versus Roe versus Wade versus Predator. But oh my God, the hero's journey, the power of myth. Talking about the Protean. Dutch is this Protean hero who he finally finds the talisman, but it's not a shield or a magical sword. It's mud. It's all this hero's journey mythology stuff that this guy had in the speech. And maybe he was just trying to jam on the hoop of these idiots in Kansas. I don't know what he was thinking, but man, you would have thought he was William fucking Shakespeare.
Was that scene where he covers himself in mud on the Mount Rushmore of mud? Gotta be, right? Yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. Freddy, that was your choice too. Okay, wow. So what is your
back to Richard for his fourth?
Yeah, my final choice. Sometimes a booby trap doesn't have to be that complicated. I think we've discussed this. Sometimes you can get away with just doing it with raw power. And that's my last choice, is the explosive woodland creatures from Caddyshack.
Oh, fun. The Carl Speckler
creation.
That's really funny. All his favorite little woodland friends. Mr. Squirrel. And I mean, this is a booby trap. It's a booby trap that's set up for a small animal who is able to ultimately outwit the groundskeeper. But I just love Caddyshack's one of my favorite movies of all time, and just this idea of how much extra explosives he was willing to use to try and get rid of this damn gopher.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
Now, well, those are not tripped. Ultimately, it's a bomb, or it's an explosive that's triggered by him, right?
Yeah.
The gopher doesn't trigger it.
The trap is he gets the gopher to get cozy with the woodland creature or interested in it, and then he's able to kablooey it.
Yeah, subterfuge via sculpting clay.
It's C4 or whatever
C4.
It is, plasticine or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's just to me, I just love. I love the way they were able to, in the screenwriting, work this sort of very B plot, C plot sort of thing.
Yeah.
And have it be suddenly tied into the resolution of the main picture.
Yeah.
And how it all kind of like plays in together.
That's one thing that was wonderful about Caddyshack. It seemed to have every type of comedy working at the same time, like the drug humor, physical comedy, slobs versus snobs, a class kind of comedy.
Yeah, the vaudeville kind of insulty.
Yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield stuff. And then you've got the big sort of like action finale at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have this huge. That thing almost to me seemed too like like they saw the first screening and the studio was like, "What the fuck? We gotta make this broad, or we gotta do something. Let's put a gopher puppet in this and give this kind of a comedic through line. So we'll ratchet up the tension there."
I believe it was more, how can we get a Kenny Loggins song involved?
Yeah.
And they went, well, maybe if a gopher was dancing to it.
Yeah.
That's genius.
That's
Get
genius.
Me some more cocaine.
Forget where it was, Kentucky or Arizona. I forget where they actually filmed the thing, but they blew some shit up, and they were not approved to blow some shit up. So it was a last day on location thing. Oh,
I love it.
Awesome. Okay, Winfield, what's your final choice?
My final choice is Antonio Prohias' Spy vs. Spy comic strips. All of them, since they were all somehow built around these spies laying these booby traps and tricks for each other and killing each other and blowing each other up or maiming each other, or gray spy coming in and killing black and white spy. But these comic strips were always one of my favorite part of like reading Mad as a kid. I wasn't one of those that got the Mad magazine like week after week.
Yeah.
But I had like a collection of some of their books. I had a collection of like Mad books or Spy versus Spy books, and I had a collection of I probably like the lighter side of, or I
the
can't
Don
remember.
Martin ones.
Yeah, maybe Don Martin ones. But every time you'd get like, it's amazing like that this like stalwart had been involved or had been an aspect of like this magazine, this goofy, magazine aimed at kids that had like all this super deep, Cold War undertones and overtones, to say the least. I was reading about him and how he escaped Cuba in like 1960, like 3 days before Fidel Castro like overtook the newspapers, and then like later that year was drawing basically like Cold War jabs at kind of about Castro and the U.S. at the same time with Mad Magazine, and did it for like 25, 30 years.
Wow.
But the Spy versus Spy, they're always built on just some form of trickery, some form of trap that I always just really loved. A hand would be extended and it wasn't the real hand, and just the one-upsmanship of this nonsense spy duo.
I always appreciated that whatever Spy 1 would do the Nixon peace sign thing. as his form of victory.
Was there a movie with Tom
that's
Hardy
funny.
and Chris Pine where I thought it was almost like a Spy versus Spy the movie or something?
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
they're both like trying to go after Reese Witherspoon. They're both like attracted to her, so they're both spies.
Yeah.
So they try to outspy each other to get her affection. Yeah, I don't think it was very good, but I didn't see it, so don't quote me on that.
Well, that's a pretty cool choice.
I never really watched the Mad TV Spy versus Spy bits, so I don't really remember if they were any good or if they were rehashed from the original comic strips or if they were just new outright. So
that seems like a weird thing for them to keep of Mad Magazine, the Spy versus Spy. Maybe just because it doesn't have Alfred E. Newman's correctly doofusy face.
Was he? Well, that's a question. Was he in any of the Mad TV show? Was there like a hidden Alfred? Like there's hidden Mickeys in Disneyland. Was there a hidden Alfred E. Newman in the back of one of the strips every week? A hidden huge gap tooth somebody or other.
For some reason, Mad TV always felt like such a and I've made this reference before to Deaf Ears, but you know how Treat is the cheaper version of Spam. It seems like SNL's Spam, Mad TV was this somehow a cheaper meat, jellied meat byproduct brick
It was ironically it was the Cracked magazine to Mad Magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
so
perfect.
The funny face drink mix to the Kool-Aid of Spy versus, or the Weilers to the Kool-Aid of Spy versus Spy.
It was a more low scale, low rent version of Fridays, if you can imagine that.
Yeah. But SNL has had its quality, changes throughout the years. But yeah, cool.
Well, the best year for SNL was whatever when you were 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever year that was the best one. So just look at that year.
So guys, I'm just going to go with the ones that were very educational to me, very new to me, and I'm not going to go with the ones that I didn't see because that just doesn't like it's good judging. I want to go with Spy vs. Spy, the explosive woodland creatures, and I want to go with Indiana Jones and Predator. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
That's 4.
Work.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, homies. Boy, we sprinted through this one.
Yeah, we did.
Great.
All right.
Good for us.
Yeah,
for us.
It was less of a marathon and more of a sprint. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, the trap was sprung. We had to get out of there. The trap of being stuck on here for like 2 back-to-back Zoom calls. There was no way we were going to go through a thing where we watched the countdown. It was like you got 8 minutes left, and oh my god, we gotta get out of here and re-record.
Such a drag. All right, this has been the Mount Rushmore of booby traps. I, as always, am Jeff.
I'm Richard.
Michael.